Book 2. The Troll Farm. They had passed like ghosts through the new offices, 4 stories high, clad in steel and dark glass, in the Olgino suburb of St. Petersburg. It was past midnight for their secrecy, but as they walked toward the lifts silently, already university students blinked at their flickering computer screens, checking out talking points and avatars. Though the Russian internet was sleepy, it was still mid-evening in Great Britain, the Mail Online comments section fit to troll with stories of imminent Sharia law. In California, it was a bright, breezy morning as retired Americans logged onto Facebook to read violent tales of migrants and black crime. These were early days. Evgeny Prigozhin, Putin's famous caterer, had yet to hire hundreds of English-language students as his digital warriors online. But that was coming. They had $50 million to spend on virtual hybrid warfare against the West, 3 times cheaper, at least 100 times more effective than a supersonic jet. But for now, we follow the 3 men up. One bearded and grey, the other blonde, baby-faced, the third dark-haired, enigmatic, sharp. As they arrive at a penthouse private suite with views over the Neva and the city, it looked like any corporate headquarters 10 years ago, a tech hub, open plan. The pivot from electoral shamanism to sham elections was unfolding, and Russia was being tamed with a new apparatus, a panoply of press, TV, radio, and internet, transformed by these new apparatchiks into an illusion of pluralism and free speech, a simulacra and spectacle of fake news in which nothing appeared to be true, and so every alternative seemed impossible. This managed democracy worked so well at home. Could it also work abroad? That was the challenge facing these 3 thinkers. The philosopher, Alexander Dugin, bearded like a bear, ersatz patriarch; Vladimir Surkov, the state magician, clean-cut advertising executive; and internet guru Dugin and Rykov, bold, baby-faced, a Kremlin hipster. All 3 could lay claim to Stalin's description as becoming engineers of human souls. Surkov quietly walks over to the blank whiteboard, but he does not write. Think of the narratives of the Wild West, For over a century, when we were kids, the films we watched, scenarios we acted, stagecoaches, teepees, toy guns, headdresses, creating an inverted reality in which Indians pillaged, raped, scalped innocent Americans who fought back against savage barbarians to reclaim a settled land of peace and lawfulness. We all played along. In our games and dreams, we thought we were the good guys and justly killed in the name of Uncle Sam. The question is not whether right or wrong, we are beyond that. How did America get away with it? That's what I've been studying all these years, the magic of hyperreality that wraps atrocity up as a Christmas gift, plays Empire daily on our TV sets, and crowns it all with a fake cowboy hat. This is how popular culture began a century ago. Mass media justifying genocide. Hitler loved characters like Buffalo Bill, and cowboy tales inspired his Lebensraum. Why couldn't he do the Wild West in the East? Had he won, and the Third Reich prevailed, we might have spent our childhoods watching TV shows about the heroic SS men battling with the barbarian Jews of Odessa and Minsk, or stabbed in the back by treacherous Slavs. It seems impossible when you think of it. But I have long been thinking the impossible, about the power of stories to compel a different and vindicating history. This way, for a century, America has projected its ideology on the world. We have been blind, supplicant, oblivious, lost these media battles on every front, retreating under the barrage of chewing gum, blue jeans, coke, and rock and roll. While it happened, we didn't really get it. By the time we got it, it was too late to act. Then the Berlin Wall fell and we surrendered, prostrate at the altar of the dollar. but not for much longer. Now is our moment. The 21st century is still up for grabs. Now, to create a politics for eternity, we have to mythologize our history. And to mythologize our history, we have to politicize our myths. Now, what these myths are and what icons should embody them is your choice, Alexander Kalevich. And as for you, Kostya, my only question is, what technologies can we now weaponize? Rykov grins. Yeah, fuck yeah, trash Team America. Dugin grimaces and strokes his long beard. I don't like this language slava, and I loathe the technology here on show. Indeed, I fear it is capitulation even to use these terms, unless ironically. All you say is true. We must learn from our great enemy, the West, and in the final battle, we must use every tool, no matter how crude and repulsive they are. Rykov smiles and pours another glass and warms to his vodka and his theme. Some say that data has become the new oil, or diamonds, gold, or some other mineral extracted from the earth, cooked underground. But information is never quite like this. Data is free. It rides on a beam of light, fast as electrons, but with even less weight. Data is the word, the truth, the logos. It can unleash wisdom beyond reckoning, riches more than a computer can count. Data is the elixir of humanity. Distilled, it can predict whatever happens next. Every search we make, every purchase we complete, that becomes part of your psychometric profile. Billions of data points, your favorite songs, photos of kids, dating online, travel plans. We know more and more about you every day. After 10 likes on social media, we know you better than most of your friends. After 50 likes, better than your partner. 100, we know you better than you know yourself. Believe me, this data is so powerful, it knows women are pregnant before they do. The men are going to commit violence against themselves or others, that dark triad of narcissism, psychopathy, and hate. In silico, we can model humankind and so predict the repeating patterns of repeatable and predictable people. Unpredictable Dugin is chafing now. Rykov is oblivious. You know The Matrix, sci-fi movie, it stars Keanu Reeves. Dugin shakes his head and taps his keys on the desk. Don't watch the sequels, they retrospectively ruin the first one. But in the first one, Reeves lives in a computer program hardwired to his brain, which looks, tastes, and feels like everyday life, right? In reality, is suspended in a pod with millions of other humans harvested by robots for their calorific reserves. Absurd. The story would make much more sense if the machines were milking Keanu for his data. It's already happening. Think of this. The industrial age turned us into workers. We became just hands assembled on a line, machine-driven robots day in and day out, and all that came with it, armies of labour, socialism, Soviet revolution, all that. Then, with the crisis of overproduction, capitalism survived by turning workers into consumers. Yeah. The post-industrial age was born. TV sets, mass media and advertising. Our resistance to it meant turning ourselves inside out, industrializing our inner lives. Communism failed, the Soviet Union fell, but capitalism was still not satisfied. Its greed knew no bounds, except no limits. So it came to its own final solution. Turn the consumer into the product itself. That's what's being done. Like Keanu Reeves' pod. We are all being milked and harvested online because when the product is free, you are the product. From mechanizing our habits to manufacturing our desires, now capital automates our reality. It's invisible, in the air, in the cloud, like the water we swim in until we see through the code. Then we can rewrite it. Then we can become, as Stalin once foretold, the true engineers of human souls. The half-rhyme irritates Stalin even more. Dugin stands up as if ready to walk out. Only Rykov's smug grin stops him at the door. The Matrix. Every word you utter reveals the rot that consumes you. Vladik, how can I even ever work with such a man? He speaks a language I don't even want to begin to understand. But we have a greater mission at stake here, placates Surkov. Rusky Mir, our home, our dream. I have a nightmare, Dugin snaps quickly back. He's standing right in front of me right now. I think there's been a misunderstanding, says Rykov quietly, unfazed, almost amused. We're on the same side, Sasha, and I can help. Dugin isn't easily placated. The truth needed to be said. I know full well how you made your ruble millions, Konstantin Rykov and rose in the Duma. From delivering pizzas to escort agencies, you have sold appetites online. You created Fuck Are You, Poplip, gaming sites, science fiction. You're called the godfather in the Russian internet. Because like a mob boss, you turn technology, the brilliant insights of our mathematicians, the wonderful workings of our engineers, the narrative traditions of our novelists, into fast food, fast sex, clickbait, hot gossip. I bore you and this place. Look at those students glued to their screens like zombies. They should be out in the world, out among the people, out in the countryside where our peasants sing, the scent of apples, humid tilth of wet hay. I hate this place. Fluorescent lights, glass, plastic, all the deadly smells of unreality. It's a curse. This is the arid prison that globalization has given us. There's no depth, no darkness, and hence no light. It represents all the wrongs I fought against, so you ask me to join forces with everything I detest, to embrace this world of liberal emptiness in order to defeat it. It makes no sense. You know my mission, to create a new world, one not lost in the fluid identities of those sea-born empires like America, Britain and France, the IMF, NATO, the turgid flux of flot and jestom that has emasculated us, turned men into women, women into men, children into monsters. It is my dying wish to bring all this down, to counteract this liquid modernity and restore a holy dominion based on Mother Earth and God in the sky, where people knew where they stood on our rich, dark soil and knew who to look up to, the cross and the Tsar, to return to that politics of eternity. And yet you want me to work with a porn-wed star, to forsake the tang of birch tar and cedar, for dry, dead data, to immerse myself in a fire hose of falsehood, to become a drain for all the excrement that this man extrudes. It is not sustainable, it is not right, it is not workable nor moral. With that, it was all over. There was no comeback for any of them from Dugin's deep and devastating aria. Surkov. In the Lord's house, there are many mansions, and in our dear President's mansions, there are also many rooms. His roof is broad. He will shelter us. Surkov's invocation, the dropping of the presidential name, stopped Dugin before he made it to the door. He knew the consequences of defiance, understood the call that was now being made, the roof or krisha that was being offered. For years, Dugin had written books and pamphlets trying to catch Putin's eye. This was the first confirmation he had from the Kremlin. And what about the Eurasian plan? It's all understood, replied Surkov. Whether understanding meant agreement was not something Dugin dared yet ask. Surkov has once famously said, Putin was sent to Russia by God, so to be heard was good enough for Dugin for now. I understand your discomfort in this room. The political technical solution, whether kinetic or cognitive in kind, is like a surgeon's blade, cruel, bloody, sharp. But we have to accept the world as we find it in order to change the world into what we want it to be. My dear Professor, at this juncture of time, this looming crisis, while our nation stands on the brink of either irrelevance or greatness, please ask yourself, what would Dante do? Dugin gulped back guffaws. You laugh. I'm serious. Don't forget, Dante was a soldier first, then a politician, sent into exile for his imperial beliefs. In exile, he wrote his Divine Comedy, the gossip of eternity, which he consigned his political rivals to hell, his friends to purgatory or paradise. It was a divine revenge. And when in heaven, apart from his childhood sweetheart, he saw the universe as some vast cosmic library, and that we humans were just like gathered leaves in God's abundant and omniscient book. Now that was before Gutenberg ruined it all, and the printing press and its enlightenment scattered authorship and authority far and wide. From the sacred and the holy to the mass-produced, demotic and profane, we are now at another turning point in history. Those pages of humanity have been gathered again under the watchful, sleepless eye of World Wide Web. We can now read them. We can rewrite them, not to replace divine mysteries at all, but to reinstate them. The ruin you foresaw, the unreality you have so aptly discomposed, is really our friend and ally. You ask me how? I wonder why. It's so simple. The chaos we will unleash, the confusion I have already sown, doesn't make modernity adored, but more abhorred, as you so rightly say. So faced with 1,000 disconcerting, contradictory narratives, people will rise up against them all. From fluidity, they will flee to security. They will crave the old gods, the old ways and certainties. As the liberal edifice crumbles and this globalized order is swept away, there is room again for the longed-for return of the sacrosanct, of the mystical, of a Mandelstam and Akhmatova, of a Mayakovsky or Dostoevsky. It will be a tearing of the veil, a chance for cultural rebirth, spiritual renewal, but only if you two men can rise beyond your differences and both see through the screen. With that, Rykov takes his cue and saunters over to the whiteboard, flipping to a map. Having read and reread your Eurasian plan, it's obvious what one must do. To take our destined place in the Imperium of Nations, we must reassert ourselves in post-Soviet space. Well, Chechnya was first, then Georgia, but the big prize, the black earth of our soul, is the Ukraine, where our brothers live in delusion, foxed by coloured revolutions, co-opted by the West. We must help them. We must save them. But a mighty alliance opposes us here in the North Atlantic, Britain, America, the Antichrist of Anglo-Saxon values. We plan 2 covert lines of attack. First, as you suggested, we must get the UK out of Europe. It's already semi-detached, but at the moment it is a bridge, a runway that provides much more than missile bases. It is a pipeline for America. We think we can break that. Alexander Yakovenko has been sent to London with exactly that brief, more than none. More challenging still is how to sunder the power of the US from that alliance. And for this, too, we have a plan. Did you see this presidential debate? Dugin shrugs. Romney and Obama, 2 performing dogs in America. There were no conservatives left. But we don't want a conservative. We want something more radical than that. A clown, a superstar, a maverick who will, through democracy, tear American democracy down, shatter its constitution, demean it in the eyes of the world. But where would you find such a man? Surkov jumped in. We have already found him. He came to Moscow 15 years ago, found a Czech bride known to state security, and returned to America to declare he was thinking of running for president. Since then, we've amassed a fire on him, and know all his scruples and weaknesses. He's a man of immense, unstable ego. that neatly chimes the American dream, the property developer obsessed with women, money, flattery, status, who can easily be suborned and ingratiated with a fast woman or a loose deal. I know of whom you speak. He's a chump, a liar, vainglorious braggart, fit for a seedy casino or reality TV, and that, I agree, is the epitome of the USA. But there is no way in 1,000 years that Americans, for all their clamor and divisiveness, would ever elect him as president. Surkov shrugs. Rykov smiles. That's where we come in. My friend Agalarov has already set up a meeting. Trump is coming here next year to host his Miss Universe pageant. Plans are afoot to build a Trump Tower in Moscow. By then, we will have honed our alchemy on millions of innocent Americans and can show him, just as Vladislav showed you, how to turn a genocide into Christmas, stupidity into leadership, and shit into pure gold. If you believe all you say about decadent democracies and liberal rot, this plan is the ultimate test of it. An hour or so later, as dawn crept in, down on the corridor, down on the open office floor below, Sergei from Vorozny was trying to wake up by downing another quick espresso shot, when he noticed 3 men leaving the lists. Blonde Rykov, bearded Dugin, dark Surkov, shaking hands, with no idea that he had seen something incredible. A dream turning real, a momentous plan at its inception, before he went back to his computer to start another argument on YouTube.